TikTok, I've been hitting different topics. Here is just to basically make sure that we are doing just like a Q&A session. So we do our workshops on Sunday. So every Sunday, 12 noon Central Time, YouTube link. On a YouTube live, we do our Veteran Awareness Project workshops. And it's just basically we try to stick to a specific topic, which basically gives us the information. So basically, we've spoken about nexus letters, we've spoken about disability claims, we've spoken about the CFR, we've talking about those different entities and those different things that help benefit actual veterans at the end. And I think the biggest thing going forward, I think, is the ability for veterans to actually communicate with each other, answer each other's questions if they know answers to those questions, but then also at the same time developing the ability to de- developing the ability to understand where the information is to be successful when it comes to doing your disability claim or your benefits claim, or making sure it's tax season coming up, making sure that you know where to look for your property taxes, or do you receive property taxes. Some states do only at 100% P&T. Other states do it that, hey, you may get 10, 20, 30, depending on where you're at, or you get a certain amount of $1,000 that are removed from the assessed value and you do it that way. So there's multiple different exemptions, availability and stuff that does happen that people need to make sure to, just be aware of, because it's out there. There's a lot of information and there's a lot of resources that most people don't know of. Now with all the stuff that's going on and the budget constraints and the budget possible changes, that's something that just needs to be relied on and paid attention to. But all these programs are still there. None of them have been removed. Now, with time, if people haven't served in the military, they should know already that it goes off of kind of like your budget kind of thing. You have a set budget for the year. If you don't use your budget, that means you didn't need all that budget. So then that means they reduce it. So sometimes it's just like that extra expense to get it done. But in cases like this, like when it came to the military tuition assistance and stuff like that, tuition assistance was there. They started putting more limitations on it. Why? Because service members weren't using tuition assistance. Tuition assistance is the easiest way to get your education level increased because of the fact that you are using tuition assistance to pay for school. So you're already there. Yeah, you don't get the opportunities to like go and say, hey, you get to dorm somewhere or you get those resources, because it's most bachelor's degrees when you're going for 4 years. Some people get it done in shorter time, but that's when they're able to go full time. As a United States service member, you don't get the opportunity to go and just go to school the whole time. So you may have to take one class here, one class there. But at the same time, if you are earning your associate's degree, your bachelor's degree, even working on your master's degree, if you have the ability to have them pay for it, it's something that most service members just don't know about, don't pay attention to, don't really have knowledge that is an available resource. So that's why it's just like making sure that people are aware and have, if you got questions, ask them. Because the thing is there's no such thing as a bad question, because you have to realize that people need to understand that there's a bunch of stuff available that they just have to learn what it is. And most of the time, people don't know what it is. Why am I live on two different things? That make no sense. Oh shit. My question, I'm sorry, it's gonna. Oh, see, so okay. For some reason, it wasn't even showing up that you had a question. I was just like, why is that? Where's my stuff at? Like, what the hell's going on here? Like, I cannot find where this window is, and I cannot see those questions. But hold on, let me do it this way. So, question is my question? I'm service connected for cancer. I had in 2009. I filed for it in 2022. The radiation they gave me caused a neurogenic bladder, which in turn flooded my kidneys. Damn, man. The kidneys are in stage 3 failure because of that. They service connected my bladder, but said the kidneys would Same as a bladder, one rating. So the thing is, what are you trying to figure out, Stephen? Are you trying to figure out like if it's supposed to be a combined, like both of those things are supposed to be combined for you, or are they supposed to be separate for you? Because the thing is if you're getting a rating for something like that, most of the time it's kidneys. They're gonna combine it. They're not gonna give it one and the other. And then it's also looking at the CFR, which we would give me a second so I can pull up the CFR. Um, give me 1 second. Work on pulling up this CFR real quick to see, because the thing is in your case you got to remember, just because one thing caused the other doesn't necessarily mean that they're just going to give you the same rating for both. There's a difference because there's kidney stuff, then there's bladder stuff, and they fall into two different areas when it comes to getting a rating. So that's one thing you need to make sure you're understanding, that it's just like you can get the different ratings um off of that, because it's not the same situation. So you'll get two different things and you'll get two different ratings off of it. I'm sorry. I'm just sorry to hear that you're dealing with all that shit. That's the worst part about it. Because the thing is if we look at the CFR, right? We look at the CFR and we go and we look up bladder, because that would fall under the genitory urinary. Genitory urinary. I don't even know that. So and the thing is you also have to remember, Stephen, it's also depending on what it is that you are filing for. What is it that they are giving you as a diagnostic code? What is it that they're trying to say, hey, this is what he's doing, or this is what we are filing for him? Because in those cases also, I was just like, why am I doing, like, this is so weird. I'm on both, but I'm not supposed to be on both. And this. Dismiss that, because that was my stream for a thing. I wasn't supposed to have a stream. Dismiss. What the hell? No. Hold on. Let's see. My man said, oh, man. Okay, I did it. File for an increase for knees and back with supporting documents, also PTSD, and added a new claim. Okay, Army, there you go. Yeah, man, that's what I said. Like, the thing is when it comes down to it, is having the documentation, and that's where a lot of people don't have. That's where a lot of people run into that problem. They don't have the documentation. Once you have the documentation for it, if you're already service connected on an issue, the biggest thing is filing for increases. That's always the best thing to do as a veteran. You have to make sure that you are filing increases for the things you already have service connected, because that can lead to an easier. That leads to an easier what you call it? Why can't I think of the? Why can't I think of? It basically leads to an easier rating decision for you because you're doing that because you have something already there. Well, the thing is you don't really need a nexus, because the thing is if it's already service connected, you don't need a nexus letter for it because it's something that you're already dealing with. Deny it and ask them to base the decision on the evidence given already. No, because the thing is you're already service connected. So if you're already service connected for an increase, you don't need a nexus letter. Now, if what you're trying to do, because the increase is one thing, it's basically like, hey, you just providing the documentation showing like, hey, this issue has gotten worse. This is what I'm trying to fix, and this is what I'm working on. And I was like, so if it's what did you say? Wait for them to try to call me. Yeah, they're gonna call you for the evaluation, and then you go from there, and it shouldn't be a problem. But it's basically you already have a service connected issue. If it has gotten worse, you have to max out as much as you can from the stuff you already have connected, because it makes it easier and it lowers the amount that you need for the percentage to get to a higher rating. Say, how can I get from 90 to 100%? Will they lower my rating? King Javon, when it comes to that, they can lower your rating. Gina, it's not that they can lower your rating anytime somebody files something new. It's not always like that, because you got to remember, in order to get reduced, you have to have viable documentation for a reduction. I don't know. Veterans sometimes think that it's just like that, but you have to have documentation. You can work for the VA. You should know that working for the VA, you're not just going to get a rating stripped from you just because they looked at you and saw. No, you have to, the same way we have to have the documentation, they have to have the documentation also. They have to show that you are getting better. So in the cases where I tell people, if you are going to the VA, right, and you had migraines, you had them all the time, you were getting multiple times a month. Then when you go get seen for migraines again, you tell them, I don't get them as many times, or I only get them once a month now. Before I was getting them multiple times. But if you look at the CFR, well, yeah, they look at errors, but at the same time, they look at errors. So if you have an error, that's an error. But if you're looking at it in the manner of just like, hey, you have these issues, but there's no actual documentation showing that you have made significant improvement, they're not just gonna they're not gonna remove a rating from you. It just doesn't. You have to have some documentation to be able to remove that information. You can't just go and just be like, hey, I'm gonna lose my rating because I just decided to file again. No, you have to have documentation. Because the thing is if you're being seen for something, or you're denying appointments, or you got something scheduled and you decide not to show up, from there, their assumption is, oh man, he probably doing too good now. He don't need to come in. That might start paperwork, but just because you refile again doesn't mean they're gonna be like, oh, we reducing this. No, you have to show that you're getting better. The same way you have to document and show that you are worsening, you have to show them that they're getting better. Steven, can you repeat your question? Because I got a couple of VA workers here on TikTok that may be able to assist. But that's what people don't understand. It's just like some people just get that thought process, just like, oh, if I file something new, what are the chances of it being reduced? Are you better? Are you doing better? Are you feeling better? Have you significantly improved from what you had? Because like I said, if you file for migraines and right now you're sitting at the 50% mark, basically that means you get multiple migraines per month. You get them prostrating enough, basically to the point where I call it debilitating. They say prostrating, I say debilitating, where you can't function, you can't be around light, can't be around loud sound. You have to like be in darkness and clothes and try to take medication and do that. If you're doing that multiple times a month, yeah, you're getting the 50% rating. But if you go after a couple of times of being seen for migraines and all of a sudden now you're just getting one headache a month and it's not even that bad, then yes, you noted that, you stated that when you went to see your provider, then they're going to put that in your file and be like, you know what? Okay, we may have to look into reducing said person because they're not at 50% anymore. Now they're at maybe 30 or at 10. And that's what people need to understand. So, Melissa, I see you. It says cancer. I have a question from somebody. It says Stephen Dressel. This is on YouTube, on the YouTube channel. Cancer Service Connected 2022. They found a spot on my kidneys and on my lungs got it rated at 10%. I have neurogenic bladder from the radiation. Found out the kidneys flooded from the bladder. Talking with someone who works at the regional office told me that the bladder was connected secondary to cancer. But I would not receive a rating for the kidneys because the bladder and the kidneys. Not entirely. So they're telling you that they secondary are in the series. One is under renal dysfunction, should be at 60%, and one is under voiding dysfunction at 60% currently. Did you file for both of those, Stephen? That's what I need to ask. Did you file for both of those things at the same time? Because let me just pull up the CFR. I had it. We had, for some reason, I had like dual streams going up on YouTube. For the workshop I have on Sunday was somehow streaming, and then also this benefits Q&A one was also streaming. I was just like, that's interesting. Because that's the thing. Sometimes you have to go through a VSO to make sure it goes better, because sometimes they like to try to combine the stuff. JC, what's up? Yes, I filed for both and did a CMP on both of them. And then they just decided to, because the thing is in cases like that, it sucks. It would be an appeal. But the thing is since you have cancer because of it and you have kidney issues, you can try to do a priority processing to try to prioritize your thing because of the fact that you're dealing with the situation. What the hell is a priority? Check the website. Because there's a priority processing form that you would have to submit it with it, and then it's just basically putting it why. You sound like it for your situation is definitely priority to get something taken care of, to get that looked at and reviewed and fixed. Priority processing request is VA form 20. Hold on, let me see. Because that just gives you the... Because it's VA form 20-10207 that you would be using to do the priority processing. But in cases like that, because that sounds like it's just a mess up via them, because that's kind of tricky for them to try to say is like, oh, it's a secondary. I was just like, you probably didn't file it as a secondary. They placed it as a secondary, which is kind of, that's the iffy part about it. So that's why I was just like, just to make sure to do it that way, you would have to contact. Because if it's two different things like that, there should be no way. There should be no way that they're just combining two different ratings for that. It doesn't sound right. I filed not technically at the same time, but within the same month. I filed personally the bladder online, but the regional office put in for kidneys, pulmonary, and neuropathy. Because the thing is one thing that the VA sometimes does do is that they try to combine stuff. Because of the fact that you did it within the same month, they try to put sometimes not all. They'll claim and they'll clump those claims together because it's like, bro, you filed it in the same month. We'll just put them all together at the same thing. But in the case that you have two different things, as residuals, because the regional office is the one asking for this information because they see there's an issue. Now, the thing is them wanting to put that they caused it is a different issue. That's the part that we have to clarify, and you need clarification through your VA provider as to, hey, how is it that this got filed like that? Yeah, it because that doesn't sound right. It definitely doesn't. Because you shouldn't be putting those two things together because it's two different things. They're saying that one caused the other, but then it's basically like they're trying to say that one caused it. It is a secondary effect, kinda. Because it's like you didn't, unless you had something already showing that you had those kidney issues, and then this made it worse. But the thing is you didn't have any kidney issues till you had that treatment. So that's why I guess they're basing it off of as a secondary. But even then, if it's a secondary, they should still be counting it as a separate like disability claim. They shouldn't be counting it as just one thing. It was just like, well, this was the primary. Secondary issue happened because of me doing this. I developed this, which is a secondary claim. So they should be giving you that rating as a 60% on one side, 60% on the other. See, in times like this is where, Stephen, what I would do is don't go to no like one of these claim entities or anything like that. Go to a VSO ask a VSO. Just ask questions. Just give them a call, ask questions. This is a phone conversation. Once I haven't gone since yet, but I definitely will be doing. Yeah, because definitely that would be something you ask. And then like what I tell people, look, there's a lot of actual lawyers, not these claim entities that they'll try to charge you like, hey, I'll help you file it faster or this stuff and like that. There's actual VA lawyers. They have free consultations. Take the time, find a couple of them, ask them those questions. Don't go to one of those claim agents and stuff that they're gonna try to charge you a certain amount of stuff. No, just go to a VA lawyer, contact a VA lawyer that you can find, kind of a secondary to a secondary. Yeah, that doesn't make no sense because you have one of them has to be a primary. You just can't have secondary service connected. So one of them is a primary and there. Maybe it changes by the time they do give you the decision letter. That might change and you can see what it says there. But what you can do in advance is just make sure to ask VA lawyers, legit VA lawyers that work for a VA entity that are certified and accredited lawyers. Like I said, not one of these claim sharks and stuff like that. Because the thing is if these people are lying to you, the repercussion is you lose money. If a lawyer is lying to you, shit, you can sue them right back. But at the same time, that person is not going to have a job if they are lying to people. There's a couple of people here on YouTube also. I think one of the lawyer groups that I've seen that I pay attention to, they're always giving good information. I think is After Service LLC or After Service. And it's like a husband and wife that are VA lawyers, and they're always giving insights, giving information and stuff like that. That's who you have to reach out to in cases like that, because something like this may get dumb. Because it's like you can't tell me that I filed for two separate things, but then you tried to make it like a secondary to, you see what I'm saying? So in cases like that, I would just prepare ahead of time. So it's like, hey, or speak to a VSO. It's like this happened and this happened. Are they rating me in this manner? Are they looking at it? Because also VSOs are able to look at that sometimes before it gets ahead of the thing. That's the one advantage VSOs have sometimes, that they're able to see things before you actually receive them. Because sometimes it's in the move, but that snail mail and that information takes time to get to you. But ask a question like that and see what they tell you, because it doesn't sound right. It just doesn't sound right that you're gonna have issues like that. Things like that, those are the things that people need to make sure like they're mentioning, talking about. Because the thing is these things, it's a tricky situation, and you're dealing with a critical issue. And the fact is, that's why I say it's just like, since you already filed everything, I'm not sure if the priority processing works for let me look at this form real quick. Terminally ill, experiencing extreme financial hardship, diagnosed with ALS, Lou Gehrig's, very seriously injured or seriously injured during military. Or maybe it might not fall under the priority processing part. But it doesn't hurt to ask. That's the thing, because I don't want to. I'm not giving you an answer that is just like I'm not sure. In your case, I'm not entirely sure why it is that you would end up in that situation. So that's why I always say, when it comes to something like that, if I don't have the knowledge and I don't even know where to direct you, your best thing is like, hey, there's free consultations, take them. Ask questions. Is like, oh, I got 30 minutes. Hey, I already know what I need to ask you. Boom. This is what I need to know. This is what I'm trying to find out. Is there something here? Because then if you see that a lawyer starts perking up, then yeah, you probably have a case. If not, it's still information that you'll obtain that'll still benefit you in the background. Because then it's you being able to know, okay, this is the process I have to do. Or, hey, maybe I should start looking into, I need to start putting this documentation together to be able to provide this as for what I need. If I do need to appeal, or do I need to submit this? Like, it might delay what's going on right now because I'm not sure what step you're at, but that's the case. Look, I need to submit this on top of it so that I know, like, hey, this is how they're going about it, instead of trying to make it two separate things. because it always changes. With the VA, it's like sometimes it's human error. Sometimes it's human error. Sometimes they just miss shit. Sometimes they just lazy. But we can't control that, but we got to make sure we're doing what we can to do it. Do raters generally go off of what was documented at the CMP exam? Yes. So your CMP exam is basically can differ depending on what you have in your documents. And this is the explanation I'll give to this. So let's say you have degenerative disc disease, right? If you have degenerative disc disease, you have the imagery, you have x-rays, MRI showing the disc and the vertebrae are closer together because of the losing of the cartilage in between. And you have that. The CMP examiner will most of the time try to verify your issue if they don't have enough evidence within. So it's basically like if you have degenerative disc disease, right? But you don't have any MRIs, you have an X-ray that doesn't really show too much, stuff like that. You don't have like a personal statement or a buddy statement, and your medical record doesn't have a strong showing of back injuries. That's when they start. That's when they turn, like I say, they turn into 50 Cent and start asking you those 21 questions. Like, so how did this happen? When did it start? What are you dealing with now? How does it affect you? And they'll go down the list to try to keep on so that it paints a picture with them like, oh, okay, degenerative disc disease. He got this. He got it through this occasion or this event and stuff like that. That'll change your whole CMP exam. Because if they already see it, if they can just type it in, search, and it all populates and they can see the disc all the way off the spine, all that stuff, it makes it easier for them to just be like, okay, I don't need to ask. Hey, Steven, no problem, man. It was like you don't need to worry about asking found of them asking because they already see it in the file. So that's what people need to understand. When you're preparing for a CMP exam, it was just like they're gonna ask for what's documented, but then also it's like, how does it affect you on a daily? Because that's not something imagery shows. Imagery doesn't explain, oh, you can't pick up your kids. Oh, I can't push the lawnmower. Oh, I can't climb on top to clean my gutters. Stuff like that. Like certain things you have to describe it to them while you're there. So that way they have an understanding of, okay, I'm going through this situation. This is what I'm filing disability for. This is how it affects me. Now, one thing that's also important is that when you're answering, it's like, hey, you may feel good right now. I know most vets do this. They just internalize it. They stay quiet and they don't really share. It's just like, look, you may be feeling on a good note today. Your back might not be hurting as much, but on the worst days, this is how it is. Or usually this is how my back interferes with my daily whatever. When you explain it to them like that, then it lets them know like, hey, he's not having as much issues today. But when the issues get bad, he can't do this. He has to take muscle relaxers. He has to do. So you want to paint that picture for them. That's the same thing as most people do, but they do it in a lay statement. So a statement of you writing it yourself. And that kind of explains that also because it gives that visual to that VA reader, that CMP examiner to understand like, okay, this is what they're referring to. And yeah, JC, definitely. You gotta stay on whatever entity you use, you got to stay on it, but you got to stay on it yourself also, because that's the one thing that a lot of vets don't do. They don't stay on top of their own shit. You have to pay attention to the stuff going on. If your documentation isn't correct, you need to make sure it's correct. That's not on the VSO. That's not on anybody else. You have to make sure your stuff is correct. Your documentation is solid. That's not on the VA. The VA has nothing to do with making sure you had everything you needed in your file. Now, if you gave it to them and they lose it, that's a whole different story. But if you are providing your stuff in a file and you are documenting it correctly and you're providing that to a VA rater, your CMP exam should be a lot easier. If you haven't looked at the 38 CFR, you can look at the CFR, and the CFR shows you what it is that you need to be doing and what it is you need to be looking at. Because a lot of the times the problem is most people are not looking at that information. Most people don't understand like what's going on. Like, where did you get this from? Like, how did you get to this point? Is the thing that a lot of people don't understand, that is just like you have to explain that to VA raters. You don't get to speak to the VA rater. You don't get to talk to them directly. But your letters, your documentation is you speaking to them, because they don't get to see that. You see the CMP examiner, which is there to evaluate what you're doing. And then they're going to go off of the CFR, which they're not really going to go off of the CFR, but they kind of do. What they're doing is like, hey, the CFR says that he has back issues. So I got to measure this, and that deals with back issues. They'll put their findings, their information. Then the VA rate is going to get those findings from the CMP examiner, the findings that you have in your medical records, and then they'll look at all that, and it was just like, okay, this shows that it was service connected. This shows that it happened in service. Okay, now I got to check the CFR and see what percentage he's going to receive from this documentation I have. Because the CMP examiner, if it's anything musculoskeletal, they're always checking to make sure how much you bend, how much you can flex. That's the basic criteria needed when it comes to that. They need to see that. They have to do that. That's part of the examination. Then that gets contributed to, okay, how much flexion does he have? How much abduction does he have? How much can he rotate it? All those things factor in, because if you look at the CFR is going to give you that breakdown. It's just like, oh, he can flex for about 45 degrees. Well, 45 degrees is only a 10%. Oh, he can only flex like 10%. Well, that's a 40%. And it's also understanding that not every rating is going to get you 100%, but it's also understanding that you have to have a solid file to do that. Don't give these people an excuse to mess it up. That's the biggest thing. You can't give them if you keep giving them an excuse to mess it up, they gonna mess it up. If you make it easy for them to fail at it, that's what's gonna happen. Let's see, because look, this is the why is it so large? Like, what the hell? I need to fix that because I changed it. Said thanks. Had my CMP exam 2 months ago and still in step 3. I know it takes a while, but then see, that's the thing. It's just like you got to remember. It's just like there's a backlog, so it does take a while. There's a backlog. There's a backlog of all that stuff. There's appeals that still need to be taken care of. It's gonna take some time, but as long as you got the CMP exams done, at least you got that out the way. From here is just like, hey, what you need to remember and what you need to realize is that you still probably fall under that intent to file date. If you got anything else you are dealing with, anything else you have been diagnosed with, anything you have documentation, this is when you need to make sure you're putting that in. Because the thing is you got to remember, your effective date is what they go off of. So whenever you did that file, the intent to file, that is basically your back pay day. So whatever percentage you're sitting at now, when they make that decision, let's say you go up 30, 40, 50%, that's the back pay you'll get. But you got to remember, you are trying to maximize what you have. If you already had something service connected, make sure you are making a note of the fact that you are service connected to it and try to file for an increase. You don't need a nexus letter for that. You just need to provide the documentation showing that it's worsened. And like I said, the biggest thing, that's one of the biggest things is increases that people fail to rely on. People worry too much about these high dollar value claims and making it so that the value, those high value ones, they're high value. Don't get me wrong. Extra 50% here, extra 50% there does not hurt. But when you look at VA math, 50% and 50%, that only gets you to 75%. You still got a ways to go to get to at least 95. And let me see what that would be. Because if you are rated at 75%, right? If you are rated at 75%, to get to 95%, you would still need another 80% from 75. So you still need another 80% added onto the fact to get there. But then it goes into the breakdown. Are you static? And then that changes it. Once the VA knows that, look, this guy isn't getting any better, that's when the P&T chances improve. But if not, then they'll just be like, you know what? Might not work for this guy. Might work for some, but not for this guy. This guy, we're just going to leave it as is. So what does the letter for the PACT Act have to say? I'm helping my dad. What do you mean the letter for the PACT Act? Like when you're filing? Because when you're filing, you'll be able to put that it's a PACT Act claim, depending if it is a PACT Act claim. So if it falls under any of those presumptive issues that is a PACT Act claim, you will be filing that on the what is this form? 21526EZ. And it has a section there for it. Which reminds me, I have to check on the website to make sure I have all the DBQs are up to date. Yeah, so you would be filling it out and putting it as a PACT Act claim. Because if you look at it, so it'll be the form. If you fill it out manually, if you fill it out online, it'll also help you do it. But if you get the form is the 21-526EZ. If you're using that form, what you're basically doing is you'll scroll down through it, and while you're filling it in, there's a section on there. It is section 4, and it'll say exposure information. So that is basically you stating that, yes, this is because of the PACT Act that you are filing this, because it was something that it was toxic exposure. If it's a Vietnam vet, probably Agent Orange. So then that would be putting that on there. That is just like, yes, I am filing. And it gives you a breakdown. So if you look at section 4, it says exposure information. That's what you'll be filling out to make sure you have the information there. Yeah. So you want to make sure that when you're filing your disability claim, you have that inserted in there, and you putting that you are filing it as a PACT Act because of it. So if you go to section 4, let me see if I could. Why is it not? Hold on. It's the same one. So why is it not showing the page? Give me 1 second, because I could pull up the page right now. Oh, but you're on TikTok. If you go to my YouTube, if you go on TikTok and go to the TikTok link and the YouTube link, it'll have the YouTube link there. You'll see that I'm live, and you can click on there, and I'll be able to show you where it is on there. Now let me just capture. I think that's it. There you go. So it'd be here, section 4. Then it basically just gives you the rundown. Are you claiming any conditions related to the toxic exposure? No. And then it gives you the instructions to fill it out. So this is all for the 25 EZ. Basically the form that you're using to fill out your disability claim. So once you're doing it that way, it'll highlight that, and it'll show you that information, and you'll have it. And then from there, it's just like filling it out as you go. believe it's a letter saying how it affects day-to-day activities. I'll follow. No redemption. So what you're talking about is a statement. This is the website. This is the Vetaware project. Why is this so like maxed out? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like it's so increased on there. There you go. That should look slightly better. Because that would be if you're looking for a how it affects you daily and you are trying to put that, that would be a you have your own statement in support of claim, which is form 21-4138, which your what did you say was it? Your dad. Yeah. If it's your dad, you would be able to use that as a statement in support of his claim. So he himself can make a statement about it, and then you yourself can also do that. I ain't even know. My bad. Found. I just seen this message. Currently 40% filed for increase LS sprain, and increased patellofemoral syndrome, and new secondary for radiculopathy. Been rated for knee since 04 and back since 08. Yeah, if you got those file for you got to remember. Look, as long as you have something already there. Yes, I have to look at it better, but knowing the right verbiage is difficult. So okay, redemption with that, it's just like there's no specific there's wording when it comes to the statement. Paint the picture. There's no specific stuff. If it's a nexus letter, that's a whole different entity. If it's a support letter for him and you are making these statements. This is what you have observed. This is what you have noticed. If, hey, I have to assist my dad with this because of this. He's not able to move around a lot. I have to walk him around places. I have to take him here. I have to do stuff like that. That's how you paint that picture because they need to know what it is that's going on with him. Because the thing is they don't know who your dad is. No VA rater knows who they're looking at when they pick up a file or they open up a file. You are painting that picture to show them, hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. This is my issue. This is my claim. This is what's wrong with me. These are the things that happen to me on a daily that I can't do because of this. And you put it that way, then from there it's them getting that visual. And then if you have a buddy statement or a witness statement stating the same issues and separate things, then it's like, oh, okay, I have somebody else that is giving me information, letting me know. I'm sorry to hear that, man. And the thing is like with knee replacement, stuff like that, you have to have the documentation. You have to have it connected to service. With anything that you do, you have to have it connected to service, and you got to make sure that you're looking at the CFR. Because the CFR can change a lot. I used to be able to have this full screen like this. Now I don't have it no more. I don't know what the hell's going on. Did I make it this way? No. That definitely was not it. Nah, I gotta fix that because it's not showing the page the way it should. But yeah, that's mostly it. You got to make sure you're looking at those documents. You got to look at that stuff, and then that's how you get those answers. Because if you have anything that you can file for an increase, file for it. In the case of found treasures, you have a service connected issue, file for increases. If you have something that you've never claimed before, make sure you have the proper documentation for it. So in the case of no redemption here, got knee replacements. If you got knee replacements, how is that connected to service? Was he airborne? Was he jumping out of planes? Did he have an injury? Was it a accident or event or stuff like that? Because that's the thing, and that's the problem that a lot of Vietnam veterans and a lot of older veterans are having a problem with, is that service connection. That's where a lot of people's ratings, appeals, and all that stuff. That's where a lot of people's stuff falter, and they make it seem like it's so difficult. It's like, hey, you got to prove to these people. Look, first off, it sucks that you got to prove to these people that you're hurting because of them. But at the same time, it's like you got to look at it at both sides. We know we were in service. We know what we did. We know we were running all the time. We know what we were doing all the time. We know what we were into and what areas we were at. We know this. You could have gotten injured and didn't say anything. The VA doesn't know that. The VA can basically be like, well, you don't have anything showing that it happened in service. How do I not know you went on a skiing trip and got yourself injured? And this is how you ended up with these issues. The VA doesn't know that. Anybody could just injure themselves in a car accident or something and just try to start claiming VA disability. How did this happen in service? What caused this in service? If you can't provide that, that's what makes it difficult. So that's why it's like having those buddy statements, having those witness statements, those lay statements, all those statements come in handy, because now it's just like, hey, you have an extra entity saying, yes, I was there when he injured himself. I was there when he jumped out of the back of an LMTV, landed wrong, and twisted his knee or something like that. Like, whatever the case may be that you are saying caused that issue or caused the new, that's what you got to work with. The thing is I wouldn't say, you can't say that. So that's the thing. We can't say that the VA doesn't care. We can and we can't say that. I can't say that we cannot say that. We can and cannot say that. The problem we have with the VA is that the VA doesn't know. The VA doesn't know if you actually are injured by the military. So the VA is very reluctant to help you if they didn't cause it, because then you are taking up resources from somebody else. In the case that you didn't have it happen in service, you're using up resources. If you did have it happen in service, they got no problem giving you the services. It might take some time because there's a big backlog of just trying to get the same stuff, because everybody knows we all deal and dealt with the same stuff. But when it comes to looking it over, it's just like, okay, this is what we have. This is what we can take care of. Well, we can't take care of this part because of this reason. The VA don't care. Sometimes it's us. We ain't doing the right steps. We ain't taking the proper steps to make sure that the VA, look, the VA gonna care. The VA gonna know my name. I'm gonna file my disability claim. I'm gonna do this. Here's my imagery. Here's my nexus letter. Here's this. Here's that. Here's all the appointments list. This is all the documentation I have. When you put it like that, it makes it hard for the VA to be like, oh, okay, this did happen in the military. But if you can't provide that documentation or that stuff, it makes it impossible for them to go off of it. And that's what they do. They'll just leave it as, oh, well, we can't prove, and there's nothing in here that shows it was military. Gone. That's why you'll notice a lot of people will look at their ratings letter, and their ratings letter will say, what was it? Positive evidence or evidence was found, but we still didn't service connect it. So in cases like that, it's just like, look, we found that you had this, but it wasn't necessarily this specifically that you're claiming. So we're not service connecting it. Or sometimes it's stuff that we service connect is just not in the CFR. So if it's not in the CFR, if it's not in this document, they'll service connect it. Don't get me wrong. They will service connect it. The thing is you will not get a percentage or a rating from it as you thought you would. And that's one thing that needs to be understood. So I don't know. That's one of the main things, and that's why I'll always keep on saying this. With the Vietnam era veterans and the older veterans, it is tougher because they have been out for a longer time period. They've been out of the system, out of the military for longer. If you've been out the military for 30, all plus years. And now it's when you're filing, it becomes difficult. Why? Because it's like, it's kind of hard to say, oh, I needed this help then, I just didn't go to it. Because that's how the VA also looks at it. It's like, well, you never came here before, so you didn't really need anything. That hurts veterans also. But it's, you have to provide that information. You have to go, you have to check. It does suck that they have a harder time, especially because of the fact that, nowadays with service members, everything is digital. You have stuff on a computer, you can email it and stuff like that. There was no emails back then. There was no cell phones back then. So it's just like, it makes it difficult to even prove, because it's like, man, now y'all got all this information digital where you could just look stuff up. Back in those days, everything was paper. Everything was jotted down on paper. Everything was filed away in the paper, filed away in the filing cabinet. And every now and then when that first sergeant got tired of, he gets tired of be like, you know what, we ain't got shit to do. We cleaning up this whole office. They start seeing things of paper. Well, this should look old, shred. And then you lose information that way too. That shit still happens now with your S1. So some things just don't change. It's just like the technology has advanced a lot and it's changing, but it's Yes, thing I say about Dom is he had no idea about the PACT Act until I looked into it. Yeah, and that's the thing. So if you got questions like that, no redemption, just make sure you're looking into it, because you go to va.gov, find it through there. There's also chooseva.gov. Basically the same site, is just prettier. Same thing, it just looks prettier. It's easier on the eyes, and it looks like it's an easier site to navigate. But choose.va.gov and then va.gov. Because you got people fail to realize that there's 3 different entities within the VA. There's the health administration, there's the benefits administration, and then there's the cemetery. Those 3 different entities is what makes up the VA. So you got the ones that do the health, which is the one that's taking care. And then you got the benefits, which is all the other ones. So it's 2 different entities. So it's 3 different things, but layoffs, cuts, stuff like that. It has an effect all around. It's not a singular thing when it comes to it. Are there caseworkers to help these vets? Yes, they are veteran service officers. So you can go, if you go on the va.gov, there is a section. Let me see. I'll just show this. If we go to va.gov, so if you go to va.gov, it'll be, you scroll down and it'll give you like the search options. And then once you get to that search option, it'll say find an accredited rep or VSO. So you would do that. It usually asks you to sign in or not. You don't really need to, but then you could just put accredited VSO representative. Let's say for the state of Texas. You hit search. It's going to give you a list, but it says within 50 miles. Search area. So within a 50-mile area, but it doesn't designate what that area is. So you got to be a bit more specific. Because it gives you the use my location also, so you can click on that. And that'll give you the ability to go search. And okay, in Brownwood, Texas, you got Brian Senkerick as one. Another in Brownwood, Texas, you got James Masters. Those are 2 different VSOs that are accredited VSOs that are recognized by the VA that you'd be able to contact if you were close to it. And that's for any other state. You could do the same thing, or if you do a zip code, because if you do 200 miles in Texas, it just opens it up. Because the thing is you want to be more specific if you can. If you got a postal code, you put your zip code in there, put that in there, and they'll be able to answer. And the thing is they'll answer you for free. In New Mexico, Las Cruces, hold on. So in Las Cruces, you have okay, so there's 3 in Las Cruces. They're on Griggs Avenue. So 2024 East Griggs Avenue in Las Cruces, New Mexico, zip code 88001. I even give you the phone numbers to these people on here. So the phone number for Clint Anderson, because it seems like all three of them work in the same location. And it probably might be, I don't know if that's like an official office, because it's like it has a DVS. So it's probably like the Department of Veteran Services for New Mexico. So you got three different ones. You got Clint Anderson, Vincent Telez, and Miguel Martinez. First note, let me know if when you're ready so I can give you the phone numbers. You can just take the phone numbers like that and you can call it like that. Then there's people that are in El Paso, which I'm guessing is further out. That's probably way further. Yeah, see, so you already talked to them. So talking to them, that's your best bet because it's a free entity and you can talk to them like that, and that's the best way of doing it. But so it's just a simple way. You could just go on here, search, you find people, and you can just communicate with them, ask them the questions, ask them what it is that you need to get together, what documents you need to put together, what information you need, and you just do it that way, and it makes life a lot easier because at least you know somebody that has the resources that's available and is not going to charge you for information that's already free. And that's the biggest thing. Like the same thing with this. Why would I charge you to show you where a VSO is when it's free information? It's just that I just find it crazy to charge veterans for stuff that they should know about. Hey, no problem, man. Hopefully it helps and good luck to you. But yeah, that's all it is with this. It's just making sure we can take care of the people and direct people to the place that they need to be. Because not everybody knows where they're supposed to go. Not everybody knows about the resources. Like it's as simple as just like, yeah, you're going to va.gov. But sometimes going to va.gov is confusing because that site is overwhelming. There's a lot of information all over that site. And sometimes it's not easy to find what you need to, especially when it comes to the VA forms. That's why I said that's why we got the website. Because the website, I don't have that problem. The website will show you what these forms are. I basically have the form. You can download the form and it gives you a brief thing and it's all on the Google Drive for the Veteran Awareness Project. And it'll just give you, okay, this is what you're looking for. This is what you need. Okay, download. You can look at it, download it from there, and that's it. And it makes it 10 times simpler. Because that's one of the biggest issues right now is finding the information and knowing where the information is. Not everybody knows where to find it, and not everybody goes across the process the right way because a lot of people just go. Like I said, if once you start hearing about these claim agencies, these claim talks, and all that stuff, is just like, yeah, it sounds enticing when somebody tells you, yeah, I can take care of your stuff right away. Only gonna be $2,000. Then you'd be like, damn, $2,000. But then at the same time, people be like, well, I don't know any better. So they pay the $2,000. Like, no, I'm not doing that. It's just like, this is free information. It's just once you're there, you got to guide yourself there. I'm a Gold Star wife. You know any resources? Ari, when it comes to Gold Star stuff, that definitely check in your state. That I would go to and ask. Because they have, I believe the Gold Star thing. Hold on. Because they have a website. It's just like army.mil. Hold on, I gotta put this over so that they believe it's me still streaming weird ass stuff on TikTok. Um, so resources you have the website that basically goes over it and gives you like the gold. Let me see, Gold Star awareness, the symbols. Oh no, that ain't it. Let me see. Hold on, because this is Gold Star stuff I find. Because it's Gold Star Survivors, gives you the menu, about, organization, quality of life, leaders, features, news, photos, videos, publications. Quality of see what quality of life pulls up. Because the thing is with instances like that with a gold star wife and stuff like that, you want to make sure that you are reaching out. Like I said, I always push people to the VSOs because the VSOs have those organizations are there. I want to tune in next. I appreciate you, No Redemption. Have a good one. Enjoy your weekend. Um, but yeah, because this is one of the reasons I say to go to like the VFW, the American Legion, disabled American veterans. The reason I say also to go to the VSOs there, because these are veteran organizations, large veteran organizations. The DAV, the American Legion, and the Veterans of Foreign Wars, the BFW, are some of the biggest organizations we have for veterans. So when it comes to, yeah, you may be doing something that is dealing with your disability claim, but then also these organizations have resources, have different entities that can point you like, oh, we have this program for Gold Star. We have this program for DIC. We have this program for benefits. So that's the best bet to do it because these people have connections organizations wise to other organizations. Like the VFW and American Legion, you always see that they're actually involved with Congress. But then they also have partnerships. No problem, Mary. They also have partnerships to tons of corporations. So it's just like, hey, maybe there's not something that we know about, but we work with this company and this company offers this. That's where a lot of veterans lose out on tons of resources and benefits. It's like, hey, some of these it's just like, I think for the is it the BFW, for one of them is like $45 a month. It was like, it sounds crazy. It was just like $45 a month. That's a long membership. But if you take off all your internet streaming, you'd be paying less. But in cases like that, it was just like those organizations have that, but they provide you so much more. They provide you with their programs. If they having events that are, so it's like basically like, hey, if the VFW is having a event, because I assisted with events while I was stationed in Germany with the BFW, and we did it for a German orphanage. And basically what we did, my platoon, I was in charge of the firefighters. So the firefighters, they teamed it up. It was one of my good friends. He basically worked with them also with the VFW, and they had it so that it's just like, hey, our platoon is going to provide our trucks. They're going to be able to take the trucks to the orphanage, and the kids are going to be able to get in the truck. You know how they usually do, like what the fire department usually does. Well, I don't know how communities are, but some communities do that where it's just like, hey, they have an event where a class or kids come and do that. We did that for the orphanage, but that was through the VFW that we did that also. So stuff like that happens, and it's just like, that's just an event that was an event. That's nothing planned. There's nothing nationwide. But within your community, they may have more connections also. And that's why I say going to the big organizations does have value because of the fact that they have connections. A lot of these other entities and these claim sharks and these claim, like, they have connections, but it's just connections to your wallet. That's it. Some of them say they're sponsored here or they're connected to them. It was just like, you're not at the level of the BFW, the DAV, or the American Legion. Those three entities are some of the are basically, I would say, the three top largest in the country when it comes to veteran affairs. So they have their connections, their resources, and you also have to check within your community. Because the thing is a lot of times, a lot of veterans have community efforts and community resources that are available. No idea about them. So that's always that's why I say when it comes to that it's easier to look into the VFW and stuff like that, because most of these are entities that are with the VFW. Most of these are entities that are basically pushing what they offer but then also making sure that you know about the stuff that's connected to them that they can also offer you. So it's not like you're left separated. So you'll get information from there. But the website is for the Gold Star. It's just basically you can just Google Gold Star families, military Gold Star families. And the first link that pops up is the Army one. And then it's America's Gold Star Families is a different one, which is a .org. The first one is a .mil site. The one after is a different one. So let me see. America's Gold Star Families donate. Next event, they have events, I guess, to do it. Yeah. So even if you go to America's Gold Star Families.org, they got programs and services. It says they provide support, resources, and programs to survivors of active duty military loss through these programs. They have the birthday card program, the Fallen Hero Ornament, scholarships for children of the fallen, and Hometown Hero Banner. Those are all things that are provided by this American Gold Star families.org. So different things, different places, but there's tons of organizations out there that assist veterans and their families. It's finding them, looking into them, doing the research for them, and like I said, most of them they might have a small fee or they might not. But if it's just like if you're gonna be paying a fee where you know you may be um eligible for sponsorships or partnerships or stuff that hey they might do a community event and you're just reaching out to them to get these community events like brought together, that's a big influence when it comes to dealing with veterans because the thing is they help out the community because most of those people are from that community and they just basically have a hangout spot, a hangout spot for veterans basically. So you got the American Legion by me. I can't remember what the VFW post is around here, but there's an American Legion that's close to me. And they just have that. Sometimes they have like when it's warmer weather, nicer weather, they have like their bike rides. Um, and they assist. They have like little farmers markets that are out there too. So it's just like it's depending on how it is because your community is different. Your BFW is different. Your resources are different. How your town operates, they might have certain ordinances and stuff like that. That goes into effect also. But it's always best to go to one of those entities because those entities will provide you information and they will provide you resources that you didn't even think you had. The mission continues, does good work as well. See, that's another one. I haven't heard of that one. The mission continues. Yeah, so stuff like that. Like I said, there's tons of resources, tons of organizations, and there's always new organizations popping up. Like I don't think you can consider mine an organization yet because it's not that big. It's just me, but it's just like the whole point. The whole point of the Veteran Awareness Project is to make sure veterans are aware of your benefits, disability claims, entitlements, exemptions, stuff like that. That's the whole purpose of that website that I made, basically. So it's just that you keep on obtaining information, you keep on learning information, you keep on being able to know what's going on, what changes may be coming, so that way you are better prepared and your family's better prepared. Because things change all over, things change. This new year, it's going to be changes incoming. But are you prepared for them? Do you know what they are? And it's just like that. And the other thing is just ask questions. Don't hesitate to ask questions. That's one of the biggest things that we have a problem with. Veterans sometimes is just be like, you know what? I'll figure it out. No. When it comes to disability and stuff like that, ask for help. Ask for help, but ask for help from right locations. Locations that are giving you the resources for free and showing you what those resources are. Y'all can come here, hang out, ask questions. Why? Because I'm going to show you on screen, hey, this is where you find this document. This is this. And when I don't know, I straight up tell you, go to a VSO or go to a VA lawyer. Use those free consultations that they offer Take advantage of them. Have the questions you have ready. Ask away. Because if I don't know, I'm not going to give you an answer that I know is not going to help you. I may guide you in the direction, but it's at least it's showing you what you need to do and how to get there. I can't provide everything. Like, look, the VA, there's a lot of stuff here, guys. There's a lot of stuff here, like to answer. There's a lot of stuff to find. So it's a lot of information, and then trying to consolidate it makes it even tougher. Because who, how do you consolidate all this info? So many sections, so many departments, and then departments have departments of their own, and it's just like it's kind of difficult to get all this stuff together to get answers. But that's the same thing with the VA. It's hard. It's hard to get all these different entities and stuff like that. But when you know what questions to ask or where you're looking at, it makes it simpler for you to file a disability claim. It makes it simple for you to contact a school or a government entity. It was just like, hey, I'm a veteran. I was looking into this. I was just like, hey, I found out that as a veteran, I'm able to obtain a license plate decal that has either veteran on it or disabled veteran, or whatever the case may be. And I was just inquiring about the process. Boom. You had heard about it. I showed you where it is, but now you just got to call your city or your DMV and just confirm, like, oh, okay, what do I need to provide to get this? To be able to get my license plate. Oh, just bring in your old one, your copy of DD-214, some identification and stuff like that. And sometimes they'll make it simple for you. It was like, well, if you bring your DD-214 and you bring your ID card, that'll count as two like pieces of identification, because sometimes they want like two complete different things that have your picture on it. But there you go. That's simple. Or with some, it's just like, hey, you got free hunting license. What do I need to do? Oh, you just need to go to the game warden and stuff like that, fill it out, fill out the information. They give you your card. You're good to go. You're done. And it depends. It depends on what it is, but it's asking questions and finding out what that is, because there's like, when I tell you, it's overwhelming sometimes to look at all the different information. Like when it comes to all these, because I've been doing these, going on a year plus that I've been doing these workshops on Sunday. And it's just like having veterans teach me stuff that I didn't know, and then having them learn something that they had no idea even existed. Because it's just like, I know there's tons of stuff that I still don't know. But at the same time, it's just like if somebody asks a question, they're just like, hey, if you're helping me and I'm helping you answer a question, that means I'm going to do my best to basically resort and learn that, because now this is viable information that somebody did need. Now I need to be able to pass this on to somebody else in the same manner, or I bookmark it on as a web page, or I link it or something like that, so that way I know, hey, this was a reference that I was able to use. Let me pass this along to this person. Oh, I need something concerning hunting and hunting licenses. Oh, here's a resource I have for it. And there you go. And it makes it simpler that way. But then it's just like, okay, other people see it. It's just like, okay, he has the information. He's passing it along, and you do it that way. So it's not, you always got to make sure you're teaching people. That's the biggest thing with this. Got to make sure we continue to teach people so that they keep on learning these things. They keep on educating themselves on them. And it's just like they are more aware of what's going on. Just be aware. But like I said, this is something we're gonna probably do more often. It'll just be these pop up like Q&As. Sundays will just be strictly workshops. So I'll try to make it that the Sunday is just like it stays more to that topic. And what we're just gonna do is for this coming Sunday is just do the federal benefits thing. We're gonna go through them again. Well, the remainder amount that we didn't finish, that's what we're gonna go through. So we'll just do that part mostly. Yeah, because that's the biggest part. The 2025 federal benefits, so at least everybody knows what their federal benefits are. When it comes to state benefits, that's a whole like couple of months worth of workshops that I would have to do. Because even when I did the just me streaming at first, it was just like the property tax exemptions. And people were just like asking questions like, oh, what about this? What about this state, and stuff like that. And it was just like, that's why I went state by state. I found the document where I can resource it, or the actual government entity, or like a tax office or something that had that information. And then I put that in a link. So now anybody asks, well, you could go directly to the state, and the state will tell you how much your assessed value may be removed, or how much of your property tax do you have to pay, in cases like that. So it just explains that a bit easier. And then it also allows you to see the different things that need to change. So the changes that need to be made, you're aware of them. You understand them. You know what's upcoming, or what needs to be done, I guess, is the best way of putting it. Because sometimes some of the stuff you just don't know. What is this? But yeah. But I think we're gonna end this Q&A here. We'll try to do, like I said, this is something that we're gonna be doing more often of. It'll just be Q&As. We'll just pop in here and there when we can. We'll try to do evening, because probably easier for people to not at work or something. But we'll keep on doing these pop-ups where it's just like, hey, veteran benefits Q&A. So this will be like strictly Q&A. Sundays, strictly workshop. So we'll have a topic, we'll go over it, and we'll just explain it in depth as best we can so that y'all can learn from it. Weekdays, it'll be Q&As when we pop them up, or when we make them available, I guess is the best way of putting it. And we'll just go about it that way, because it makes it easier on people, and it's not as difficult to interact. You got a question? Come up with it. Even if you're scared to ask the question, ask. It's not going to hurt. The worst I can tell you is I don't know. But I'm going to still find you a way to get there. That's the worst that can happen to you. That I'm still going to get you there where you need to get to. No matter where it is, I'm going to get you there. But it just takes time to get there. You just need to process it. And remember that all this it takes time. It is not a sprint. It's a marathon dealing with disabilities. It's a marathon dealing with any sort of exemptions, benefits, anything like that. It's a marathon. You got to remember, you're going to have to provide some sort of documentation. You're going to have to provide something that shows you're a veteran, something that shows your disability, that you own the home, stuff like that. There's always some documentation or something needed that's going to be needed going forward. You just got to make sure that you're taking care of it, doing it the proper way, and making it as clear cut as possible, so that there's no question about, oh, I needed this, or I couldn't get this done, stuff like that. So that avoid the headaches by making sure that you don't allow for headaches. Best way, I guess. But all right, y'all. We will see y'all, because it is Friday night. Don't really do much on the weekends when it comes to streaming, but we'll see. We might do we'll see. We'll see when I see you. But if not, definitely Sunday, 12 noon Central Time, YouTube page, YouTube link, you'll see it. If you go on the Vetawarenessproject.com, our website, it's live there. So if we're live, you can click and tune in on the website itself and just view it from there, if that's the case, if you're viewing it. If not, you can tune in straight from YouTube. We do it mobile, and we do it on PC. If you're on TikTok, for my TikTok people, it's easier if you view it on YouTube. I still do it here because this populates more and it interacts. It throws me out to more people. I'm just trying to make it that it's more military and vet stuff. But yeah, that's the best we can do. Every Sunday, 12 noon Central Standard Time. Veteran Workshop. Our workshop is on the federal benefits of 2025, or a continuation of what we've been doing. And that's about it. So I will see y'all on the next one, or I will see y'all on Sunday. So y'all be well. Y'all take care. Cruz is out. Appreciate y'all.